Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, Immortal Hulk issue number 42. Ah, man, only 8 more issues after this? That's a sin. That's a crying damn shame. Problem is, you can actually see this starting to come to a conclusion already in this one. A major breakthrough happened down below. I'm not talking about down under. No, no, no. That's not the land where these guys are coming from. That's a whole nother place. So you talk about who made this comic book. I'll talk a little bit about the book itself. This issue is called A Game of Consequences. Make sure you read that opening sequence because the consequences actually happen to the leader in this book. So Al Ewing is the writer. There's a lot of people involved here. Alex Lenz does the leader sequence art. Adam Gorham does the Alpha Flight sequence stuff. Excuse me. I'm actually really happy they brought Adam Gorham in. He's a local guy and he's really good. You could tell he does the Gamma Flight stuff. Rachel Slott does the art for the Jackie McGee stuff. The Joe Bennett and Roy Jose do the art for one of the sequences that happens towards the end. No spoilers just yet. Colors Chris O'Halloran, a whole bunch of different things. Paul Mounts, VC's Corey Petit does all the letters, and Alex Ross does the cover. Yeah, there's variant covers out there. I think I'm showing them. And Hulk was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Okay, so from the beginning, the leader sequence is actually the most important here. And even though only the first 2 pages are devoted to this, you might say, wait, only the first 1 page. No, no, no. The first 2 pages are actually devoted towards the leader sequence. When leader is in the place down below with the one below all, and he's trying to figure out what that link is. It's like, I've separated you, Banner. I took you down here and I've separated you from your other personalities. Your personalities are right now all over the place. And the link should still be there between here and there, the above place, the earth, the prime material plane, so to speak. There's got to be something wrong. I don't know what it is. And he's using all of the resources at his disposal. And remind you, the leader is not smart like Tony Stark. Tony Stark is specialized. He can do a whole bunch of different things, but he's specialized in engineering. Right? Reed Richards is more of a scientist. He knows all of the different sciences. He can even do engineering. Right? The leader is more like that. Except rather than just being really smart and studying all this stuff, he literally just looks at something and he absorbs it instantly. He knows it. That's his power. Hulk is strongest one there is. Leader is smartest one there is. You know what I'm saying? And that's something to understand. So the idea that he can't grasp this, even though he has the capability of looking at something from every single aspect imaginable as far as the sciences are concerned, and if this was almost anybody other than Al Ewing writing the leader, I would say that maybe they didn't realize that, but I'm sure that Ewing understands that in I don't know, manyfold. But when the leader can't understand this, that's when suddenly he needs a little bit of help. Now, later in the comic book, you'll realize that Brian Banner comes up and he points out the problem. It's not just that he's pointing out the problem, he's actually causing what happens to happen because he's never really been Brian Banner. I mean, sure, maybe he was at one point, but he was taken over, much as the leader is in this one, because the link was never between Banner and the world above. The link was between Banner's psyche and the one below all. That's how the flow of energy always worked. That's where the break is. And this is something that as an engineer, formerly, I can understand very well. And just look at this in very basic lighting. If you have a circuit, you know what I'm saying? A closed circuit means that all of the circuit, it doesn't mean off. Off doesn't mean closed. It means that the circuit is running, right? A circuit could be as simple as here's 2 lines, they all connect. Here's a power source. We got resistance, we got inductance, we got current going through. Boom, we've got a circuit at this point. So let's go. But if you open that circuit, like cut one of those lines or remove something, now it's an open circuit. Now the electricity won't go through it. Now it's no longer a functioning circuit. It's an open circuit. There's a problem. The leader kept on trying. The leader started with a false premise that this was the part that was broken, but little did you realize it wasn't a series circuit, it was a parallel circuit. So actually up here was wrong, and that was causing the kink. That's something that I found to be very interesting. I really appreciated seeing where he made a mistake, because if the leader is going to make a mistake, it damn well better be a good one. It damn well better be something that I wasn't able to figure out, because then I'm upset, because then the leader's not that smart, right? And unfortunately, that's the way the leader has been written many times throughout his long storied career, pretty much all the way back since the Tales to Astonish days, right? So today, being able to see the leader making a mistake that makes sense and that I couldn't figure out, that's actually cool. It wasn't just some silly little thing. Now, the biggest threat in this comic book, well, was undeniably the one above all, or the one below all, because like his presence coming forward, wow. Also, I do want to point something out. The idea of him being all consuming and needing that host body, and what needs to be that host body through Gamma. This is going to be that reference again back to issue number 25. I know a lot of people don't like issue number 25. They hate it, hate it, hate it. Well, just because it was only mentioned once and people got upset and a lot of people fell off the book and whatnot because of that one issue, doesn't mean that the story just went away. Like, the story is the story, and that was a part of the story the whole time. So the one above all trying to latch on to the Hulk's body, we don't know how that happened, but I wonder if this is maybe where it could have happened. Now the problem is we have to try and find out where issue number 25 will actually go wrong. How will that be stopped? So, yeah, me likey lot. um, Seeing Henry Peter Gyrich in here as being the main up and in your face bad guy on Earth and whatnot, so typical. At the same time, in the business world and in politics, you fail up. You always fail up, and that's the big thing that we're seeing here. Henry Peter Gyrich, this guy who's just like, everybody knows that he's absolute scum, and yet somehow he always winds up being in these positions of great power because he knows how to keep people in check. I mean, here are these guys, Alpha Flight, with this absolute motley crew who they don't work well together. If he tried pulling this kind of stuff with the Thunderbolts would be a bit, but like with an actual evil group, a genuinely evil group, not a group like the Thunderbolts who are still, whatever, but a group that, let's take the Hellions, for instance, they would have killed him. They would have absolutely killed him, and it would have taken Deus Ex Machina to allow this person, Gyrich, to continue living. No, this dude wouldn't be breathing. He'd be pushing up daisies at this point. Gamma daisies, if anybody had to say in it, right? And that would be a really sick thing. What happens when he comes back? What does he look like? But I love the idea that there were a few people here who were willing to kill him, and one who was willing to kill everybody in the freaking room, everybody in the space station, right? That being said, I like that Gyrich was so in charge while still being pretty damn unhinged. You know what I'm saying? This was interesting. But he said he was going to get a new team. Now, this is something that I did guess, but only because I've been reading a lot of the letters pages and seeing a lot of what Ewing has been saying. I knew, and here comes a spoiler, so go away if you haven't read the book. Time's up. The UFOs, I knew they were coming, and I just figured as soon as he said, you know what, I just need a new team, I'm like, tell me he's not going to get the UFOs. Oh, man. So this should definitely be fun, and hopefully they'll be treated a little bit better than Peter David treated, what's her name, Vapor, in the Maestro series that we just got recently. After that was the real mystery here. Jackie McGee and McGowan, Dr. McGowan. McGee does her teleportation thing, and I love that she's so smart and she doesn't know how to translate things into normal human talk. She just starts techno babbling all over the place. And it's like, man, the only person on Earth I think who could ever really understand her would be Cypher from the New Mutants, right? the Krakoan currently. Um, I love the idea that she shows up and she's just like, "Listen, you've been gamified," and Jackie's like, "No, no, no, it can't be, it can't be." Meanwhile, isn't that the one thing that she wanted? Does anybody remember all the way back around like in the teens issues or younger even? She said, "I want to be like you." Actually, she definitely went into it a lot during the Zemnu fights. She said, "How do I become like you? Like you ruined my life. You ruined my world, and I'm scared. How can I be like you so that I won't be scared anymore?" Every single one of us, like none of us missed this. Every single one of us were like, "This is going to come back to haunt her." Little did we realize it would take until issue number 42 for that to happen. Now, what she sees is particularly interesting. I don't know if this is what Ewing thinks that, or what he imagines and what he's telling us that this is what all Hulks see or eventually see. I don't know. What I do know is that this could very well be a brand new power, a different way of the Hulk aspect projecting itself. Usually it's just in some kind of strength, and sometimes with a really hard way of controlling your rage. Samson being one of the few exceptions. Um, War of the Hulks also being an exception to that. The leader also being the main exception, right? I love the idea that we might be getting something new here. We're seeing the birth of a new Hulk. I'm curious where Ewing is going with this, and that I'm noticing is a common theme that I've had all the way throughout all of these books. Every single Immortal Hulk book that's come out that Ewing has been on has been something where I have said to myself, I can't wait to see where he's going with this. The problem is eventually issue number 50 is going to be upon us, and then that's going to be it. And there will be many tears. That review might be a couple days late as I cry my eyes to the point of dehydration. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to hate when this ends, but I have a feeling it's going to, like, Ewing knows how to stick an ending. All right, that's something that I'm not saying he will stick this in, I'm saying he knows how to stick an ending. And that's going to be important when this comes up. I can't I can't wait and I can wait for this to become one of the most talked about legendary series ever. Absolutely in love with what he's doing here, and it's an interesting juxtaposition that I can't wait to see the ending, the resolution of all this. But I'm also going to be really sad to see these stories go, and Ewing just saying, "Well, let me move over to this character and let me see what else I can blow your minds with." Guys, when this is over, when issue 50 comes out, and we've allowed all of this to pass, through us a couple weeks later, go back and start reading a lot of. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not a fan of his current Guardians of the Galaxy, right? But even if you are, whatever. But go back and read some of his other stuff. I promise you, you will find some other stuff that you're actually going to love from him. Anyway, and to comment on the art, the idea of having all these different artists on here was an interesting choice because the thing that I noticed is that they were all trying to look like each other. Basically, they were all trying to look like Bennett's work, which, boom, and even the colors, they were trying to look like Mounce's work, which, impressive, impressive. There are certain things where you can chameleon yourself in certain aspects, other things where you simply can't, and I could see the difference. But all of that was clearly by design. So I liked seeing the transitions. It felt like a completely different story. Like I'm watching, one of the good Star Wars movies where there's action over here, there's action up here, and there's the lightsaber action over here, and there's all the different action going on, all these different scenes going on, and like we're switching and switching and switching, and I'm just like, yes. And here it actually felt like a genuine camera change since the art team was tossed up in this. A couple different artists doing different sequences. It made it feel even better, like there was a camera switch, while all of it being a very, very seamless transition. I'm pretty sure that the vast majority of people would read this comic and see the different scenes and not even realize there's a transition. They would just assume the same artists are doing everything. They wouldn't even question it. That's how seamless the art change was in here. So kudos to everybody who was working on this art. They nailed this. They weren't so worried about making an impact for themselves. They were more about making an impact for the comic. And that sort of selflessness, hell's yes. All right, guys, I'm out. Like the video, watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.